Honourable Tom, I'd like to follow up on Ajuri's question while he was talking about the law. But there are many who have also cited National Assembly versus the President in 2003, which they also cite the Nigerian Weekly Law Report, where they say that the court gave a judgment citing Section 15 of the Electoral Act 2002, where the court gave that judgment in 2003, saying the powers to change those dates, to fix those dates to conduct elections, has been given or donated to INEC by the law. And they say that it's unconstitutional for the National Assembly to alter those dates, that it should be left with INEC.
Well, each case has to be judged on its own merits. What we've done here is simply to give a particular order to the elections to be conducted henceforth. Now, if anybody believes that's unconstitutional, of course they're free to go to court and challenge in court. We'll meet them in court. We are very adamant that what we've done is the right thing and has a basis in law and is legal and legitimate. There's nothing sinister about it. There's nothing unconstitutional about it. I don't know why any court would have said anything otherwise, or the particular facts of those cases, of that case. But as far as I'm concerned, and as far as we're concerned as lawmakers, we've done the right thing by the people, and we're doing the right thing. We will continue to do the right thing.
Argue that, look, this same argument came up at that time too, where the National Assembly said, no, we're only fixing the order and not necessarily fixing the dates. The argument came up at that time, and then it was also ruled in the same manner.
Well, again, we've done the right thing here. We've not interfered with the dates or anything. It's simply spelling out the order. Now, if anybody believes they need to go to court, we'll meet them in court. We'll take this to the highest court in the land. The Supreme Court is there. They'll tell us whether we're right or not wrong. In my reading of the Constitution and indeed the Electoral Act, nothing stops us from saying this is a particular order that we want elections to be conducted in. We stipulate so many things. We've stipulated so many things in the Electoral Act 2010. We've stipulated the orders of the dates, for example. As I've said, not later than 30 days, not earlier than 150 days. That's not interfering. That's saying a timeline. And so many other things that we've said. We've stipulated time for publication of a list of names of candidates, a list of names of parties, and so on and so forth. A list of dates for timeline for substitution of candidates. Those are the things that we've said, and we've simply added the order in which we believe that elections should be conducted. That doesn't interfere with INEC. It doesn't interfere with the powers and jurisdictions to organize, undertake, and supervise elections. What we say is, by an act of parliament, this is what we believe is good for the country.
Honourable, because a lot of people are concerned and worried about this notion. I want to get your response on it. And they feel that this has happened before, and we're going through it again. And you know, there are some of the elections who didn't have this particular order, and you're trying to change that. And they feel that this is an attempt to, you know, kind of clap down the wings of who becomes president in 2019. How would you respond to that?
Not at all. Look, we have to get our minds away from being cynical about things that we do in this country. Now, you have to trust your representatives. You have to trust Parliament to do what is right. Look, the order of the elections is important because, as I've said, we need to unbundle what we've lumped together. We need to separate each person's mandate. We need to separate the mandate of Parliament from the mandate of the presidency. We need to separate the mandate of the states from the mandate at the national level. That's all we've done, to unbundle it. And it seems to me a common sense approach to ensure that we know that what the people want their Parliament to look like is separate from what the people want their presidency to look like.
Honourable Member, when you talk about cynicism in a country where we've had so many abuses across branches, all right, and you know, the situation we're talking about right now is essentially your defense is that the Electoral Act is to give flesh to the bones of the Constitution. Now the question is, can you, if there are flesh without bones, can the body stand? Because really, if the Constitution has not given the National Assembly power to do something that it is claiming power to do, is that not purely unconstitutional?
No, well, again, the premise of your question is faulty. You said to me just now that the Constitution has given us power to do something. Well, let me tell you,
Has not given power to organize elections.
Well, no. You see, your statement is faulty. To the extent that you said we do not have powers to make laws. We have power to make laws.
I did not say you don't have power to make laws.
Yes.
That's not what I said. I said you don't. You have powers to make laws that give flesh to the Constitution.
Precisely.
That's what you said.
And that's what we've done.
That's what I said.
And that's what we've done. We're giving flesh to the bone.
But sir, what I now said was that what if there's flesh and there's no bone, a body cannot stand without the bone. And what I'm saying, sir, is that the Constitution here forms the bone. And if the Constitution is making a clear categorical statement about who organizes elections, then can you say the Electoral Act will overpower that to give the National Assembly that authority?
We haven't said anything about organizing an election. We haven't sought to organize an election. INEC will organize the election. The Constitution says INEC has powers to organize, undertake, and supervise election. We're not doing any of that.
So do you think
hold on. It's very important to get this clear. Now, if you rely on the constitutional provisions alone, let's for a moment imagine that there is no Electoral Act and all you have is a constitution. What it means that INEC just has that bare bones that I have powers to organize, undertake, and supervise. So INEC can go on a frolic of its own and go on a spree and do whatever it wants. Hold on. So here comes National Assembly. Here comes Parliament to give flesh to the bone and say, look, in giving effect to that constitutional provision, this is what we believe as a country should be done. And that's why you have an Electoral Act. All over the world you have Electoral Act. You have constitutions in the United States. You have Electoral Acts in the United States.
Honourable Member, nobody is questioning the fact that the legislature is supposed to make laws that give flesh to the Constitution. That is not the issue. What we are talking about here, sir, is a situation where laws made by the National Assembly are transgressing the boundaries set by the Nigerian Constitution.
And we say it doesn't. You can't point out to me how it does.
Sir, let me give you an example. If you talk about the Electoral Act, when the Senate came out and said, we're going to legalize card readers, we're going to ensure that results are transmitted in an encrypted manner to ensure that there's the sanctity of the results. Nigerians weren't complaining. In fact, they were even hailing it. Now, that's because they were giving flesh to the bones of the Constitution. In this case, sir, you are changing the order of the election. That is an organization of an election, sir, and that is what the Constitution says is solely for INEC.
How does that jump leap to become organized an election? By simply saying, we believe you ought to order the elections in this manner. Look, the same way, hold on, the same way you've accepted that electronic voting is a good thing, card reader is a good thing, and we've stipulated that in an act. If you didn't like it, you might disingenuously come to me and say, look, you organize an election. It's up to INEC. INEC should tell us precisely whether we should use a card reader. INEC should tell us whether we should use a manual voters registration. That's, in a broad sense, you might say that's organizing an election. Well, it's not. What you're doing is to give flesh again to the bones. Now, there's no difference in us saying you can use a card reader. Electronic transmission of voting. You ought to publish the names of parties and candidates in a certain date. There has to be a correction of those names in a certain date, so on and so forth. That's not organizing. That's giving them further framework within which to work. We haven't set the date. We haven't said go and bring electoral materials. We haven't said all right, we're going to give you the personnel to conduct the elections. That's not organizing. Organizing means.
Do you think that, I mean, because it would seem now that the controversy is on that word organizing and whether or not the National Assembly has passed its boundaries. Normally, when the National Assembly is about to amend an electoral act, one of the things that they usually do is seek INEC's opinion on some of the things that they're about to do. What was INEC's opinion on this particular ordering of the elections? Because we all see now that there is some discomfiture in INEC over the manner in which the National Assembly has ordered the elections.
There was a public hearing. INEC was present. Everyone was present. The entire public was invited. There was a public hearing, and so as far as we're concerned, we've done what the our processes tell us to do, we've conducted a public hearing. We've taken soundings from people.
If that is
and
the
that's
case,
what we've
what was the
concluded.
feedback you received on that particular
Well, we don't do anything that contravenes what the feedback is from a public hearing or from what we know or hear from constituents. We do what precisely is the result of a public hearing.
Did INEC recommend that you should go along the lines of helping it order the elections?
I wasn't at the public hearing, but I know that from the report that was tendered to the House, the public hearing was held, and that the common consensus, the majority view, was that we should proceed with this order.
Honorable member, you've lumped in the Senate's, the legitimacy of the Senate's amendments with that of the House of Reps amendments, including this controversial one. And I just want to ask you a question about that.
Yeah.
When you talk about, you know, the legalization of the card reader being added through this amendment of the Electoral Act,
yes,
that is empowering INEC to do what they have been doing, which is to conduct an election. When you talk about a situation where INEC has said this is the order of the election,
yeah,
and you're now telling them, no, we're going to reorganize that, we're going to change the order that you have already set, that is disempowerment, sir, is it not?
Not at all. It is timetabling. What we've done is to set an order. It's no different from having a timetable. And I've said to you...
And you maintain the power, just a moment,
yes,
you maintain that you have the powers to set a timetable for INEC?
No, not the timetable in that regard. Look, I've said to you, and you've not disputed, and nobody has gone to court about it. Like the Electoral Act says, you must conduct a presidential election and other elections not later than 30 days, not earlier than 150 days. Isn't that setting the time? Will I be accused of organizing or usurping the powers of INEC? We've set it by law. We've said that they must publish names of candidates. We've said set a time for the substitution of candidates. Now, you could say to me, turn around and say to me, it means that you're saying that by telling INEC to publicize certain names of political parties and candidates, it means I'm organizing or usurping their powers. You can turn around to me.
Honorable, I'm so sorry. We've totally run out of time. I was hoping that you'd be able to wrap that one up really quickly. But we have to thank you most kindly. I think that the controversy might continue in the following days. Honorable Razak Atunwa is the Chairman, House Committee on Justice.